Ashe, and welcome to another special episode of our Mandatory Mental Liberation Message series, written and produced by our esteemed elder Baba Jelani Bomani Dembe, the brilliant founder of Majestic Mind Matters University. I'm your royal narrator, Queen Magical Melanin, for this new episode. The necessity of the Mandatory Mental Liberation series at Majestic Mind Matters University lies in our focus on serving our melanin-rich culture nation. By addressing the importance of knowledge of self to produce greater self-awareness and advocating for our mental liberation, especially for our precious melanin-rich culture children, our messages aim to combat the enduring effects of generational mental enslavement stemming from the historical trauma of the chattel enslavement of the ancestors. Our initiative seeks to empower us to break free from these harmful and unfavorable legacies and cultivate a deep-rooted sense of self-identity and unwavering resilience. Each moment you spend with us is a gift, a chance to grow, to learn, to be inspired. So stay with us till the end, where the real magic happens. Now, let's get started with this very special melanin-rich culture message titled, Embracing Our Natural Hairstyles, a Call to Unity in Our Melanin-Rich Culture. In our melanin-rich culture, we must embrace our natural hairstyles as symbols of our identity, heritage, and dignity. This embrace is intertwined with a deeper understanding of the struggles we face as a people and the need for collective action against systemic oppression. It is crucial for us to define what "stay woke" truly means to our community. This phrase encapsulates the essence of being aware of the injustices that affect us, transcending mere acknowledgment to inspire proactive measures and unity. Stay woke urges us to awaken to the realities of our existence, racism, social injustice, and systemic oppression ingrained in the very fabric of society. We are called to reclaim our narrative, drawing inspiration from contemporary cultural figures such as Jordan Peele and Little Marvin. Their cinematic works, such as Get Out and Them, serve as poignant reminders of the psychological scars left by generational trauma and systemic inequality. These films highlight how insidious forms of racism manifest not only in overt actions, but also in subtle psychological dimensions, demonstrating that our wounds need acknowledgement and healing. As melanin-rich individuals, we must cherish our roots and prioritize relationships within our culture. Marrying within our racial group strengthens our identity, promotes the survival of our cultural narratives, and fosters an environment where our next generations can flourish without the shackles of oppression. We honor the women who brought us into this world and acknowledge their struggles, often faced alone, due to systemic injustices. It is our duty to uplift both melanin-rich women and men who boldly defend our communities, ensuring protection for our children, elderly, and disabled individuals. Moreover, embracing our identity means reclaiming our historical narratives. Al-Kebulan, our cultural motherland, is where civilization began. We must reject the divisive narratives imposed by outsiders and instead explore our original spirituality, honoring our ancestors who suffered unimaginable atrocities during chattel enslavement. By memorializing those unknown ancestors whose lives were lost to systemic violence, such as acts carried out by law enforcement, we forge a connection to our history that empowers us today. The psychological impact of historical injustices cannot be overstated. Mass incarceration is a modern manifestation of the systems of chattel enslavement, with laws disproportionately targeting our marginalized communities. The presence of Stockholm Syndrome illustrates our internal conflict, where we are psychologically bound to our oppressors. Understanding concepts like drapetomania, a term coined to pathologize the desire for freedom, helps us grasp how our identities have been manipulated and redefined through colonization. As melanin-rich people globally, we must confront the semantic divisions created by colonizers' terminology, terms like black, brown, or people of color, designed to further segregate and diminish our identity. This covert racism is prevalent today, even in elitist institutions favoring legacy admissions that perpetuate systemic inequality while mischaracterizing affirmative action as racist. We must reject superficial symbols of inclusion and demand tangible change, as illustrated by movements advocating for financial reparations and equitable education for our children. Our political expressions must go beyond mere gestures. Holding a fist in the air should not become a substitute for dismantling the oppressive systems we stand against. The illusion of inclusion perpetuated by our oppressors, who set the rules governing our lives, must be dismantled. Only then can we challenge systemic racism effectively. Meritorious manumission, wherein certain individuals gain favor from the oppressors by betraying their own, remains a relevant issue in contemporary discussions surrounding figures like William O'Neill, whose betrayal led to the assassination of our revolutionary leader Fred Hampton. Holistic healthcare is vital for our future generations, underpinning our very survival in an oppressive landscape that often disregards our well-being. While representations of our lives in media, such as Tyler Perry films, reflect aspects of our culture, they often perpetuate detrimental stereotypes that do more harm than good. We must assert our authentic narratives and challenge the imposed meanings of terms like woke, ensuring they align with our true essence and understanding of social justice. We must unite in our endeavor to reclaim our natural hairstyles and identity. Stay woke should be our battle cry, propelling us toward a more equitable future. This journey will require fortitude, self-awareness, and unwavering dedication to honoring our ancestors, uplifting our community, and combating oppression with collective strength. Let us emerge, not only as individuals, but as an empowered collective, ready to embrace who we are and the legacy we inherit. Our next topic in this special Majestic Mind Matters University Mandatory Mental Liberation Series message is titled, Embracing Our Natural Hairstyles, a Catalyst for Cultural Pride and Self-Acceptance. In our melanin-rich communities, embracing our natural hairstyles is not merely an aesthetic choice, it is an act of defiance, self-acceptance, and cultural pride. By choosing to wear our natural hair, we affirm our identities and challenge the long-standing narratives imposed upon us by a society that has often marginalized our very essence. The movement towards celebrating our natural beauty intertwines with broader efforts towards self-acceptance and global unification as we reclaim our narratives and identities. Our next topic in this special Majestic Mind Matters University Mandatory Mental Liberation Series message is titled, Why We Must Embrace Our Natural Hairstyles. When we openly celebrate our natural hairstyles, we are engaging in a profound expression of self-love and acceptance. Our diverse textures, curls, and kinks symbolize our rich heritage and history. To embrace them is to honor the ancestors who fought to preserve our identities despite the oppressive forces that sought to suppress them. This act also serves as a powerful rejection of Eurocentric beauty standards that have historically devalued our appearance. In doing so, we uplift one another and create a supportive environment where our differences are embraced rather than shunned. Our next topic in this special Majestic Mind Matters University Mandatory Mental Liberation Series message is titled, Understanding the Concept of Stay Woke. The term stay woke originates within African American Vernacular English, AV, and calls for an unyielding awareness of social, political, and racial injustices. For us, it signifies a collective consciousness that strives to recognize and dismantle systemic inequalities. As we engage with narratives presented in media, such as the thought-provoking films produced by Jordan Peele and Little Marvin, we confront the psychological ramifications of social injustice and racism, reminding us of the resilience needed to navigate oppressive structures. These films not only entertain, but also spark dialogue, inviting us to interrogate our reality and shape our futures. Our next topic in this special Majestic Mind Matters University Mandatory Mental Liberation Series message is titled, The Importance of Cultural Consolidation. In our quest for unity and strength, it is crucial to recognize the importance of marrying within our race. This act is not simply about individual relationships, it reflects a commitment to strengthening our communities and fostering a prideful sense of identity. We owe a deep respect to the women who bore us, whose struggles often remained unrecognized because of systemic oppression. We honor them by ensuring that their sacrifices lead to a future where our culture can blossom without the injustices of the past bearing down upon it. Furthermore, we must stand in solidarity with our men, figures who have, throughout history, fiercely protected our women and children. Their contributions to our community's safety and strength must be acknowledged and celebrated. It is only through this collective honor that we can redefine our roles within our culture and society, reclaim our knowledge of self, and recognize Alkebulan, the original name of our continent, as the cradle of civilization. Our next topic in this special majestic Mind Matters University Mandatory Mental Liberation Series message is titled, The Effects of Historical Trauma. The legacy of chattel enslavement has left an indelible mark on our collective psyche. Mass incarceration has emerged as a modern embodiment of this trauma, systematically dismantling our families and communities through discriminatory laws. The haunting presence of Stockholm Syndrome underlines this gravely impactful legacy, as some of us internalize the oppressive narratives that seek to divide us further while we struggle to reclaim our identity. Terms such as Black people, brown people, and people of color can serve to fragment our unity, often orchestrated by those who seek to diminish our cultural significance. The ongoing covert racism today fuels these divisions and perpetuates discrimination, demanding that we remain vigilant in recognizing and rejecting these harmful narratives. Our next topic in this special majestic Mind Matters University Mandatory Mental Liberation Series message is titled, Demanding Tangible Change. No longer can we accept empty gestures in exchange for our votes. We demand tangible impacts that resonate with our communities. For instance, we should see policies reflecting the needs of our people rather than performative actions such as raising fists, which signify mere appearances of support rather than genuine change. The illusion of inclusion propagated by our oppressors continues to be a tool of diversion. We must reject these empty symbols and pursue a true reformation that dismantles systemic inequality. Our next topic in this special majestic Mind Matters University Mandatory Mental Liberation Series message is titled, A Call to Waken Our Spirits. The journey toward embracing our natural hairstyles, celebrating our ancestry, and reclaiming our narrative stands as a vital part of our quest for self-acceptance and cultural pride. The historical wounds of oppression, infections of Stockholm Syndrome, and the complexities of contemporary racism remind us that the road to healing begins with acknowledgment. We must wield the power of staying woke to light the path forward, ensuring that we honor our ancestors and affirm our identities in a world that often seeks to marginalize us. By unifying our voices and rejecting the systems that divide us, we can forge a brighter future, grounded in our heritage and empowered by our shared struggle. Our next topic in this special majestic Mind Matters University Mandatory Mental Liberation Series message is titled, Embracing Our Narrative, the Psychological Impact of Systemic Oppression on Our Melanin-Rich Culture. In recent years, filmmakers like Jordan Peele and Little Marvin have significantly advanced our understanding of the psychological impacts of systemic oppression on our melanin-rich culture. Through their thought-provoking narratives, they unearth the complexities of racism and its effects on our collective psyche, while also pushing us to embrace our authentic selves, specifically in our natural hairstyles. We are realizing that these hairstyles serve not only as expressions of self-acceptance and cultural pride, but also as defiant acts against the oppressive frameworks that seek to diminish our identity. Our next topic in this special majestic Mind Matters University Mandatory Mental Liberation Series message is titled, The Embrace of Natural Hairstyles. As melanin-rich individuals, embracing our natural hairstyles is a powerful form of resistance against the societal norms that have long dictated beauty standards to us. Our hair, kinky, coiled, and uniquely textured, speaks to our rich heritage and cultural identity. By celebrating our natural hair, we foster a greater sense of self-acceptance and pride within our communities. It is not merely a personal choice, but a collective affirmation that challenges the status quo, sending a clear message: we refuse to conform to Eurocentric ideals. Our next topic in this special majestic Mind Matters University Mandatory Mental Liberation Series message is titled, The Meaning of Stay Woke. The phrase stay woke carries profound significance within our melanin-rich culture. Originally stemming from African American vernacular English, it denotes an awareness of social, political, and racial injustices that disproportionately impact us. When we say, stay woke, we remind ourselves and each other to remain vigilant against systemic oppression, exploitation, and discrimination. Knowledge of self is crucial. By honoring our roots and understanding our place in history, we foster resilience against the psychological traumas inflicted upon us by centuries of systematic injustices, such as chattel enslavement and contemporary practices like mass incarceration, which act as modern incarnations of oppression. Examples in film, particularly those created by Peele and Marvin, showcase our struggles against this oppressive backdrop. Peele's Get Out serves as a harrowing reflection of the microaggressions and psychological manipulation we face in predominantly white spaces. The film reflects our shared trauma while inviting us to confront uncomfortable truths about racism's insidious nature. Such narratives resonate deeply, encouraging us to reclaim our identity and ethos. Our next topic in this special Majestic Mind Matters University Mandatory Mental Liberation Series message is titled, Unity and Respect for Our Women. As melanin-rich communities, it is critical that we prioritize marrying within our race. This union strengthens our cultural fabric and fosters a deeper understanding of the struggles our women have faced, often alone, under the weight of systemic oppression. Our women are the backbone of our communities. They have endured countless hardships, and we owe them our respect, admiration, and support. Moreover, we must collectively honor the men in our communities who, unwaveringly, have defended and protected our women, children, and elderly from the societal ills inflicted by systemically entrenched racism. There exists a unique bond between us that needs nurturing if we are to reclaim our humanity and cultivate a culture of pride. Our next topic in this special Majestic Mind Matters University Mandatory Mental Liberation Series message is titled, Reclaiming Our Identity as Alkebulan Descendants. To understand our existence today, we must recognize the historical implications and the mental transformation caused by being stripped of our identities. The terms often applied to us, Black people, people of color, African, are colonial constructs that serve to divide us further. We must reject these labels, recognizing them for what they are, tools used by oppressors to perpetuate social discrimination and obscure our rich heritage traced back to Alkebulan, the birthplace of civilization. Systemic injustices manifest in various ways, including the covert racism evident in practices like legacy admissions, often seen as a form of affirmative action against white interests. Such dynamics only serve to maintain the racial hierarchies present in society. We can no longer accept empty symbolism in exchange for our votes. We demand tangible changes that benefit our communities directly. Our next topic in this special Majestic Mind Matters University Mandatory Mental Liberation Series message is titled, A Call for Holistic Healing and Empowerment. Holistic healthcare is essential for melanin-rich children, especially in environments laden with psychological trauma and inequality. Addressing these issues is pivotal in fostering a new generation that recognizes the value of their identity and contribution to society. Tyler Perry's narratives, although they highlight aspects of our lives, often reinforce stereotypes that overshadow our complexities. Yet, our narrative must evolve. We must reclaim language and memory from those who seek to oppress us. The original definition of woke emphasizes awareness, an imperative we cannot afford to overlook. The history of individuals like William O'Neill and tragedies depicted in the Kerner Commission's findings remind us that awareness is just the first step. Understanding and acting upon that awareness is where true liberation lies. In unity and fortitude, let us rise together to embrace our complete selves and cultivate a future that recognizes and honors the struggles of our ancestors while building a proud, equitable existence for generations to come. Our conclusion topic in this special Majestic Mind Matters University Mandatory Mental Liberation Series message is titled, Challenging Systems of Oppression and Embracing Cultural Pride, a Call to Unity Among Our Melanin-Rich Communities. As members of a melanin-rich culture, we find ourselves collectively tasked with navigating and dismantling the entrenched systems of oppression that have long marginalized us. Our journey requires not just action, but also a profound sense of unity, empowerment, and cultural pride. One powerful aspect of this movement is embracing our natural hairstyles, which serve as more than mere aesthetics. They are emblematic of self-acceptance and resilience against societal pressures to conform. When we embrace our natural hairstyles, we contribute to a broader movement of self-acceptance within our communities. Hair has always had cultural significance for us, symbolizing our identity and heritage. By stepping away from Western beauty norms, we honor our ancestors and celebrate the beauty inherent in our diversity. This act reinforces the idea that we do not need approval from the oppressor to validate our existence or our heritage. Instead, we find strength in our unity and authenticity. The phrase "stay woke" serves as a rallying cry for us, signifying the importance of awareness in battling societal inequalities. To stay woke is not simply to acknowledge the injustices, it is a commitment to actively challenge them. Popular media, such as the films by Jordan Peele and Little Marvin, depict the psychological ramifications of social injustice, racism, and oppression. These narratives reflect our reality and underscore the urgency of our struggle. By engaging with these stories, we confront the traumas of our past and present, fostering dialogue about our collective experience and traditional norms. In our pursuit of unity, it is crucial that we honor the women and men within our communities who bear significant burdens yet rise to protect and uplift others. Our melanin-rich women have faced unique struggles, often alone, due to systemic oppressions that attempt to undermine their strength. We must place them in high esteem, acknowledging their efforts and sacrifices that have allowed us to exist as a collective today. Simultaneously, we must uplift our melanin-rich men, who continually strive to protect their families and communities from the constraints imposed by prevalent societal narratives. Together, we form an unbreakable bond, ready to confront our oppressors and reclaim our knowledge of self. Reconnecting with our cultural motherland, Alkebulan, the birthplace of civilization, is vital in solidifying our identity. The spiritual practices grounded in our indigenous belief systems need to be revived and embraced, allowing us to turn our hearts toward our real history and ancestors. We must not forget the chain of pain and trauma inflicted upon us from chattel enslavement. Memorializing our ancestors is crucial in maintaining a sense of identity and purpose. Acknowledging the devastating effects of mass incarceration, which has become the modern equivalent of chattel slavery, highlights another layer of oppression we confront. We must confront the covert nature of contemporary racism and the systemic discrimination that continues to plague us. This includes understanding terms and categories imposed upon us by colonizers, which aim to keep us divided. The false narratives surrounding affirmative action and legacy admissions further illustrate the deeply ingrained disparities we face. Affirmative action is often misconstrued as preferential treatment, while in reality, it seeks to level the playing field from centuries of systemic disenfranchisement. We must actively challenge these narratives and demand meaningful change, moving beyond empty symbolisms in political discourse. The exploitation of our stories in media, such as Tyler Perry's films, often reinforces damaging stereotypes. We must be vigilant in calling for representation that reflects the full complexity of our experiences. Avoiding narratives that perpetuate notions of the strong Black woman or the lazy Black man. Stay woke encompasses understanding the larger context of our existence and recognizing how our stories are told and retold in ways that serve the oppressor. To truly honor our culture and heritage, we must reclaim our voices and narratives, prioritizing our experiences and truths. We can no longer place trust in the illusion of inclusion crafted by those who seek to maintain the status quo. It is time to awaken to the realities around us, demand tangible results, and continue to fight for the dignity and recognition we deserve. Only through unity, empowerment, and cultural pride can we dismantle the frameworks of oppression that hinder our progress, embracing our identities as we pave the way for future generations. I'm your royal narrator, Queen Magical Melanin. We trust that this very special message has expanded your understanding through the insights shared by our highly esteemed producer, Elder Baba Jelani Bomani Dembe, founder of Majestic Mind Matters University, in our Mandatory Mental Liberation Series special message. Remember this, it is essential to honor the ancestors. We have a unique connection to the ancestors. They endured many unwarranted struggles, preserved our melanin-rich culture, and passed down invaluable wisdom through many generations. By honoring the ancestors, we pay honorable tribute to our roots and draw great strength and much-needed inspiration from the unwavering resilience and royal legacy that has paved the way for our present and future generations. Ancestral reverence is a powerful way for us to continually uphold our own melanin-rich identity, heritage, and cultural legacy. Here is an ancient Alkebulan proverb to keep in mind. If you think you are too small to make a difference, you have not spent the night with a mosquito. Remember this as well, whenever you are in the presence of anyone, saying, "They don't see color," it actually means, "They don't see you." We acknowledge and honor the indigenous name of our glorious continent as Alkebulan. This name means Mother of Mankind. In various Alkebulan languages such as Akuyu, Swahili, and Kemet, referring to ancient Egypt and rejecting the terms Africa or African. As royal members of our melanin-rich culture nation, we must strive for knowledge of self for greater personal awareness. Always treat yourself kindly and seek to live a totally awesome and gloriously fulfilling melanin-rich culture life. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. So, like, subscribe to stay updated, and share this very special melanin-rich culture link with everyone that you care about and that really cares about you and all of yours as well. And thank you for listening to this enchanting special message. Stay woke. Ashe.